everyone, welcome to the next episode of Nell and Friends. Today we have the wonderful Sophie Kirk from the Holistic Healthcare Group with us, slash the Surrey Wellbeing Clinic.
Sorry,
that's kind of two arms to Sophie. So welcome, Sophie. Sophie, we'll start off with tell us a little bit more about you and the businesses.
Okay, so if we start with the clinic then, so we've got the Surrey Hampshire Wellbeing Clinic, which is in Farnham, and we've got some therapists that work there, counsellors, hypnotherapists. I'm an acupuncturist. We've also got mindfulness, meditation, an osteopath, all sorts going on. We are a specialist mental health care clinic. So we specialise in mental health conditions, stress, insomnia, depression, anxiety, all of those kind of really common conditions that people come across a lot these days. And then we also have the Holistic Healthcare Group, and the Holistic Healthcare Group again is a specialist mental health company, but we specialise in that area, putting in mental health support and education into businesses and into schools. So it just kind of takes a different form, same therapist, different model of delivery, I guess.
Okay, perfect. So I'm kind of going to backtrack now. In a minute I want to talk a little bit more around the whole mental health side of things, because I think you and the therapist have got a really important job to do coming up, but we'll come to that. So I just want to backtrack to sort of March time, or even before then. When did you start seeing that there was going to be an issue? When did you sort of go, oh, there is something massively going on here?
To do with the whole COVID thing?
Yeah.
Well, I was in Italy when Italy closed down. So.
Oh yes, of course you were on holiday, weren't you?
Yeah, so I went straight into isolation when I came back. So I think maybe got a little bit of a heads up there on what was going on, because I was already in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was probably when I realised that things were starting to change, and then and then it all happened very quickly in the end, didn't it?
So you were still in quarantine, weren't you, or in isolation when lockdown happened here in the UK?
I should have been coming out that Monday, and then it locked down.
And then you didn't. So it's just a slightly extended lockdown for you compared to everybody else. Now, from a business perspective, the clinic instantly had to close.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the governing bodies of all the different therapists decided that they couldn't work. Now, how did you guys all adapt? What were sort of the key things that you instantly started focusing on?
So we started focusing on what we could do online to help people. So even our osteopath, there's things that people can do to help themselves, and his role, if you like, was being available to help people in pain, give them techniques and tips and things that they can do for themselves at home to help them get out of pain whilst they can't get to treatment to help. And the talking therapies, obviously that's a lot easier to explain. Talking therapies online is quite easy, quite simple. We also done some webinars, and these webinars were aimed around being able to deliver something to lots of people at one time at a really low cost to help people no matter where they are on that sort of spectrum of earnings.
Yeah. So, and I kind of, although, because I think you're kind of underselling yourself here, because you were really, really quick at putting together a spectacular timetable of all these things that people could register for at actually a really low investment. What was your decision behind that?
So me and the lovely Gemma, our lovely web lady, worked day and night for about 10 days to get it up and going. So that's why it was so quick, because no one slept.
Sleep's overrated.
Yeah. So we done that, and with her help of her and her lovely husband as well. And the thought behind keeping it low cost was just to make it more accessible to people. And so that was it really. So it's because everyone was worried about money. Everyone's worried about, we're going to lose our jobs. The furlough scheme wasn't really running properly, and all of that sort of stuff. So it was just kind of like, look, this is something that we can do, and by making it available to lots of people at a time, it means the therapist still can earn a decent amount of money from it, but they're doing it with, say, like 50 people paying £2 rather than one person paying £100, then you get to help 50 people and still earn the same amount of money. So this is a win-win, really. No one loses there. Nice.
Now you did some really great things, really, because it was not just for adults, it was also for kids. I remember that one of the things was the storytelling little time section, and there was meditation on there, and yoga, and nutrition, and all sorts of different kind of therapies, which was then not only great to help people, but also great low cost investment for someone to just go and check something out that maybe they weren't sure what that was all about, but that gave them an opportunity to try it out.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And the thought behind that is leading on to our membership programs and our apps that we're creating now, where you get the interviews. Well, they're free anyway, so they're going to be interviews of just therapists explaining what they do, which is quite nice. You don't even have to bother phoning us anymore. You can just watch a video, and then you can also, for a real low cost membership fee every month, you get access to lots of videos of lots of different techniques. Of counseling techniques, coaching techniques, yoga, mindfulness, meditation, all of those things that will help you with your mental health conditions will be on there for you to learn and accessible at your fingertips. So it won't even be on our schedule anymore. It will just be whenever you need it, it's there. So that thought progressed as well, because that will help people kind of get into the groove of things, learn about it, feel comfortable with it, and then that way. And also get to know our therapists. So, and if they come into treatment later with us, they know us and they feel more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And they get discount then as well.
So this app, is that something that you had wanted to do anyway, but this has just accelerated it, or is this a thought that has come from doing the virtual clinic?
So yeah, no, it wasn't something we were looking at doing anyway. It's come from the virtual clinic and from the adjustment in people's behaviours and the way people are wanting to access things. And yes, there's online stuff and there's apps and there's things available to it for like this already. The idea is this puts everything in one place rather than having a meditation app, a yoga app, a counselling app, we've got it all in one place. But I was always really resistant, because I think because I'm a therapist, I'm very resistant to go online, because it doesn't give you that, as from a therapist point of view, reading somebody is a lot easier to do in person. So no, I always avoided the online thing before, but actually being forced into it, we've gone, oh, actually it's not that bad, so I think that's kind of through all of our therapists have kind of, those are the conversations we've been having, which is it's not as bad as I thought it would be. It's quite easy. So it has changed our perspective on it by being forced to do it.
And actually, it's funny, because I was just going to ask, how has the team of other therapists, how have they all adapted to this working from home?
So some really well, some not so well, because osteopath, for example, that's going to be a bit of a struggle. Our counsellors and hypnotherapists, they can all adapt online very easily via Zoom, or with our virtual clinic, we use a clinic system, so that's slightly different, but it's the same sort of process. So they've adapted quite well. There's been overall not as much pickup in therapy as we would have expected straight away. And again, from having talks about that, it kind of looked to us was the problem is, because obviously we're all talking to patients as well, the problem is people don't have a private space at home at the moment. So whereas people might engage in online therapy more likely if they know someone's going to be out of the house at a certain time every week, they can kind of do it at the moment. The people you might be therapy about might well be in your home when you're having the therapy. So too many listening ears and things. So lots of people are really keen for us to get back to clinic.
Now, and actually that's an interesting next point, because the clinic is open again. But not all therapists are back yet, because all their governing bodies seem to have different views on when they can go back to work. I guess my question is why? Why are they so different, I guess?
So because a lot of the therapies aren't governed by the government, so therefore they're left up to independent governing bodies to make decisions for those people, and then the insurance companies will go off what they say and things like that. So a lot of it as well is about they're not covered by insurance until their governing board gives a go ahead, which makes it really tricky then. And yeah, so usually there's one for each therapy, and there's some that cover a lot of therapies, and it's all quite confusing. It's not the best run system, unfortunately, but it is the one that we have to deal with. And the reason they're all quite different is because they're all run by different types of people, I think. Counsellors, ones tend to be run by counsellors, and osteopathic ones are run by those sorts of people. So they come up with different decisions and interpret the information given by government in different ways. What's really interesting is that the physical therapies are all back and the talking therapies are not. So, and I think that's because the talking therapies, counsellors and the hypnotherapist boards think, oh no, it's fine, we'll just do it online. And it's like, yes, we can, but some people don't want to do it online. So when can those people be helped again? Some people prefer. I have definitely spoke to people in this who have said like, oh, now that I know there's online therapy available, I will access it. The thought of coming into a clinic terrifies the bejesus out of me. But so there's swings and roundabouts. But there is people that want to be in clinic, and there's people that don't, and there's people that don't care. So we have to cater for everybody's.
What makes me giggle the most, I think, and it's not actually from a funny perspective, but you have the physical therapies are back, like the osteopaths, the physiotherapists, but the massage therapists can't work yet.
Right. Yeah. It's really odd. Yeah. I don't. What is the thinking behind that? I mean, I'm not sure there's much thinking going on, but that's the answer.
Now, from a clinic perspective for you, so you're back open, and you have this because you undersell it, but you've got this beautiful clinic in Leafy Farnham with this massive drive. You know what I mean? As soon as you get down the drive, it already calms you just coming down that drive. It's almost like it's done for it. but now you're back with some of the therapists aren't, and some of them are, and obviously you've had to look at the risk assessment and look at how do we keep the clinic clean and safe and all that kind of stuff. So what kind of changes have you had to make to reopen?
So luckily we're a clinic, so we keep things quite clean anyway. But the masks. Therapists will keep their own masks. So this would be I've got packs of them, and we're washing. And so we've got masks that we wear, which are more permanent ones. Gloves, and we have at reception as you walk in there is hand gel, gloves, masks. Hand cream as well if you want it. Nice. That's just a nice extra if everyone's got
nice touch.
Overwashing.
Yep.
But so everyone has to put a mask on when they're in any of the communal areas within the clinic, so at reception or anything like that. And then once they're in the clinic room, it's up to governing boards and what feels comfortable for people, but probably recommend at the moment people keep masks on. Then obviously we have sterile gloves. The osteopath has full disposable gowns to wear. I've gone through so many gloves. It's finding that process. You take a pair of gloves off and then you're like, oh no, I needed to do that. I'll put another pair of gloves on. So it is that routine of when you take them off and on, and what you do when they're on. Try and get everything done and before you take them off. But it's an interesting one. We've also got air diffusers going on that we have. They're just natural oils, so it's not chemicals. I don't want chemicals flying around in the air all day. So, but they're natural antiviral and antibacterial oils. So we've got nice, and they smell really nice. So we've got them going on. There's between 15 minutes and half an hour, depending what therapy it is, between each appointment. So that's going on as well. So they've got time to clean, open the doors, make sure the diffusers come in, get ready for the next one. And we recommend that people don't turn up until their exact appointment time, so that they're not hanging around the reception. We've actually got a lock on the door now, so no one can actually just get in and loiter, which is good. But then we should be ready because we've got those chunks between each client, so we should be ready and waiting at reception for when you come in to instruct, do your hand gel, do your mask, and then come, so Lots of processes, cleaning stuff in the loos, just in case you want to clean the toilet before you use it, and afterwards. Sorry.
No, it's fine, but it's kind of highlighting, though, isn't it? How much change this is creating, even in between appointments. So an appointment of an hour for you guys is now an hour and 20 minutes or whatever before you even can bring someone else in. So it's definitely a massive kind of change that everyone needs to make, I guess. I'm sure patients are happy to come back in, clients.
Yeah.
I never know whether it's patients or clients, so we'll go with.
I always say patients.
Oh, there you go.
Some people say different things though, so I think it depends where you got taught. I guess that's what we always.
Yeah, probably.
So we spoke at uni.
So actually, one thing I definitely wanted to pick up with you is you specialize in both businesses. You specialize in mental health, and we've had conversations about this before around how important that is, and over the years that's going to become even more important, and how many businesses are starting to realize that they don't want to make it just a tick box exercise, and that they really want to put some great stuff in place for their teams. What kind of changes do you think this lockdown in COVID has created from a mental health perspective in the sort of next couple of weeks, months, in like the immediate sort of future?
So, God, I think it's affected some people's mental health really quite badly.
Okay.
Definitely there's lots of reports coming in of instances and awful things. I read something recently that said 1 in 10 people now that have never ever had any inkling of a mental health condition before now have.
Okay.
Since this. So and we already had quite a lot of mental health. It's been steadily going up as it is, and now it's just like, getting a lot worse. And it's going to become more and more over time as well, because people need to readjust, and the messaging that the government have given out has been really, really harsh, and actually just terrified people. And not everybody is going to feel suddenly not terrified because the government have changed their minds on everything. It's very, it's a bit more convincing for some people. And the anxiety and the stress and the loneliness for people that live on their own, and it's all been just brought to the forefront. And also companies having to deal with their staff looking to work at home till next year, maybe, in some offices. I know my other half's office have done that, and I kind of said, did they ask you how you felt about that? And he was like, no.
Nope.
Okay, that's nice. But so there's a lot of that going on, and there is companies that are really aware that that's going to affect their staff and are doing something about it, but it's taken a little bit of time to turn around because it's been panic sessions, right? So it has to calm, and then people will go, okay, now we need to address this, because we've got some staff that are so anxious they never want to leave their house again. Some staff that are desperate to get back into the office because they feel so lonely and trapped at home.
Yes.
And all that in between as well. So so it's going to be.
And there's so many plates spinning already with how do we bring everybody back, reopening businesses, whatever it is. So because of the plates that are spinning, the mental health side probably won't be looked at until there's quite a few people that have issues. And so I guess the thing there is, we know that there's early people already that are sharing that, they're not doing well, they need some help. But there's a lot of people out there that probably aren't yet and really need, they are going to need a lot of support in the months to come.
Well, there's the redundancies as well that will happen. So that's going to affect people very badly, obviously, families and individuals. That's going to hit things hard. There's also schools. The kids, how have they fared through all of this? Are they going to have parents that have redundancies? What's their home life going to change to? Are the parents overly anxious about everything and now passing that to their children? Are they becoming depressed because they've been locked away socially away from kids for so long? Are they anxious about going back to school because it's such an unknown now, and there's and it's like a roller coaster of emotions, and it's hard for adults. And children are resilient, but to think it's not going to affect them long term is it's not the right way to think. We
Yeah.
need to kind of address it as quickly as possible, make sure they've got the processes in place and the education in place to know how to manage themselves and manage their children.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So there's a lot to think about there.
There's a lot to think about, and actually I'm already thinking, gosh, this is like a subject on its own that we can definitely do something separate on, you know.
Yeah.
And fill an hour without blinking, I'm sure, because going forward it's a major thing, and it's also it's learning how to cope with it and learning how to help yourself without necessarily just going the traditional route, shall we say.
Absolutely. Yeah. I always say if the traditional route was working so well, why are we not all getting better? We're getting more and more mental health issues every year, and we keep trying to do the same thing to it, and it's not working. So we need to look at something else, right? And I've worked in this area for a while now, and always get great results with it. And I know lots of other therapists that do as well. So really, when we're looking at mental health, yes, medication has its place, but there's a lot of other things, and it's not a long-term option either. The long time, if you stay on those medications for the whole of your life, then it's gonna have its consequences,
other effects as well. Yeah, absolutely. So from a business perspective, just bringing this back to business for you, what are some of the things that have been going on through all this that you go, actually, I'm glad to see the back of this, I'm going to stop this, I'm happy that this is the end of it?
Clinic being closed. Yeah, so that wasn't the best, but it's been quite all round, because we work with companies and schools. So companies have been like, what are we doing, mostly, right? And schools have just been 10 times worse than that, because they've just had chaos planted on them.
Yes.
And so it's been a struggle all round with the business, and we have started engaging people again now and talking to people again, which is good. Things are starting to move, and people are starting slowly to start thinking, actually, this is the next thing we need to address is mental health, and more seriously now as well. I think previously there's been quite a lot of box ticking exercises, and I do think people are I'm hearing a lot of, this plan isn't really doing anything for us, so why are we doing it? Let's go and find something else. And they're just happy with what the results they're getting with what they're using, and trying to actually look at it as, instead of just like, oh, we have to do this because we have to be
seen to be doing the right thing.
Yeah. They're actually saying, we actually want to do this to help our employees, because if we don't, then there might be a consequence to it.
Yeah, totally hear what you're saying. What's the one thing that you're looking forward to the most once we are allowed to do so? What's the one thing that you're sort of looking forward to?
A holiday.
We're talking about
not to a business, no.
No. You can pick whatever.
More work.
Just want to go away abroad.
Yeah, just want a holiday. Would be nice, wouldn't it?
Okay. Oh God.
Freedom again. Freedom. I went out with a couple of girlfriends for a glass of wine last night. Out.
Ooh,
really nice.
Kind of feels a bit normal, doesn't it? It's lovely. Yeah, I get it.
I was surprised how much really perked me up, if you like.
Yeah, nice.
This is what we've been missing.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't know, do you, until you sort of do that again and you go, you know what? Yes, I have missed this.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Last question. What have you learnt about yourself?
Oh gosh. I adapt pretty well, I guess.
Yeah.
Quite like working by myself.
Okay.
As in, I know that other people have struggled a lot more. I think as business owners, we work by ourselves a lot more often than other people do. And so it's quite normal for us, or it's not that much of an adjustment. And I think people that work in offices or in those sorts of environments are struggled a lot more. Yeah.
Actually, actually, you know what? That's a valid point, and I think you're probably right with that. We are, used to dealing with so many things by ourselves that we've probably not felt it less, because that's not true either, but we've handled it in a different way probably.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that you are doing an amazing job, and I've been super impressed with your quick decision making throughout all this, and changing, so that adaptability that you say, sort of going, right, we're doing this online, and then you just make it happen, and then you kind of go, actually, we're going to put this on an app, and then you just make it happen. So I'm impressed with how you just kind of go, right, this is the direction we go in, make a quick decision, and then just make it happen. I think that's a great quality to have.
I get really excited about it, and I'm like, okay, right, we've got to do it right now.
We're not going to wait, we're doing it now. Love it. Wonderful. Thanks for your time, Sophie. Well done with everything that you've done so far, and we'll just keep this going, because you and the businesses are very much needed in the next months and years to come. So we need to make sure that more people know about you, and more people reach out for help. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for your help in this time as well. Thank you.